And I think all of these kind of breakdowns here at the end of this delivery, like the early launch, chest behind the lead knee, not getting a whole lot of shoulder extension, and then not having, that lead leg, block that energy going forward, and the trail leg kind of shooting a little bit into flexion. So I see all of that as kind of just byproduct breakdowns of not creating like a whole lot of authentic separation through the ability to segment your 2 rotations, right? And I think there is maybe some mobility restrictions as well that are prohibiting you to move in such a way that can increase your power output naturally. Because if you look at a lot of like high power output throwers, we see a lot of, space. We see a lot of separation. We see a good amount of distance from their rear foot to the lead foot. But I want you to notice the amount of space he covers and the amount of time he buys for his hip to like start to rotate, right? So when I look at like when does hips or when do the hips initiate rotation, you're probably looking at however long the individual can hold the drive leg for, but then at the center point of the drive phase, you're gonna see that knee start to fold down, that rear hip's gonna start to rotate while the hand comes up, and then you start to get to that point where you anchor down. Now, what I know, obviously there's a lot of space there in terms of the stride length that Bieber covered, but what he did was he accomplished the goal of creating segmentation by keeping his trunk neutral, his hips rotated at the right time. So now what you do is you put your body into the most optimal position for it to accomplish the task of what I mentioned earlier with the lead leg block. I think a lot of it is a byproduct of just the timing and the positioning of things that are happening. I think you're just kind of a little bit early with that. Notice the difference in the knee, the amount of flexion, the amount of bend, whereas you're like almost at 90, he's, obviously not that much. And then as his pelvis rotates, his lead leg absorbs and stabilizes, and then you see that knee extend. All right, the knee extension is just kind of a byproduct of that. You see the hip, the rear leg kind of elongate. You see the trunk really go get out in front and get shoulder extension. Now, it's easy for me to sit here and just kind of call all these things out, but it's another thing to be like, okay, well, then how do we accomplish that, right? And it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but like I said, I'm going to write a report, and it's going to give you a lot of good context on all these little things that I'm referring to here, restriction that you're facing, that your body's kind of protecting against. Emphasis on the stability, right? So without stability, authentic like ownership of your freaking body through time and space, then we're not going to be able to effectively control, produce, absorb, and transfer energy. And I think that's a huge thing with what you're dealing with here is, the early kind of front side that I mentioned, that's a trunk stability, front side stability thing that kind of just doesn't allow yourself to keep that neutral trunk and stabilize through time and space. And it's the same thing that goes for like the lead leg block. There's a required stability for that. The trail leg shooting hip flexion, there's a required trunk stability for that. So anytime that the body or the brain actually, monitors the threat of being unstable, it's going to then drastically slow down the tempo, drastically slow down the acceleration, make it to where there's not a whole lot of potential energy to be blocked with the lead leg, and it's going to slow down the actual power output too.
All right, dudes, Robby Rowe here. Thank you for watching that video. If you're interested in booking your own mechanical analysis, you can click that link right there. Also tell you a little bit about the service and what it entails. Hit that link right there. Subscribe, please. You can also check out that video right there, which is related to the video that you just watched if you want to get some more context on that. All right, guys. Much love. God bless. Till next time. See ya.
Strike 3! You're out!